Today we have a guide on my favourite strategist and one of my favourite Marvel characters, Rocket Raccoon. We'll break down his entire kit piece by piece, then afterwards discuss how you should use them together in battle, starting off with his main weapon that has two modes, Bombard mode and Repair mode. Bombard mode fires just like an energy machine gun. Each projectile has travel time, so you'll need to lead your shots to hit your targets. It deals 16 damage per shot at any distance within 10 meters, with the damage falling off by up to 40% when you reach 20 meters from your target. This means you can adequately defend yourself if you get into a bad spot with an enemy duelist, as it has the potential to burn through most duelists and strategists in under 2 seconds, which is very powerful. Obviously you're not going to hit with 100% accuracy, but it's powerful enough to save you if your accuracy is decent. You can train your accuracy with the amazing built-in practice range that allows you to shoot moving targets. Here's the parameters I set for myself, choosing Luna Snow as she's a pretty small but nimble target to hit. Once you begin, the game will humble you at how bad your accuracy really is, but practice makes perfect. We'll get on to how and when you should use Bombard mode after we discuss the Repair mode, which is the bread and butter of the kit as a healer. This fires spherical orb-shaped healing projectiles that have a healing radius of 5 meters, the distance you can see handily with the distance guide in the practice range, so the orb will heal allies within 2.5 meters either side of the orb, which is great to bear in mind when firing into groups of allies, as you can get more value firing in between them, for example. Also important to note that they will slow down when actively healing somebody, and whilst each orb can heal multiple allies, an ally cannot be healed by more than one orb. They heal allies for 60 health per second, and yourself half of that for 30 per second, and last for 5 seconds each. Whilst active, the orbs also rebound off of the environment. This mechanic allows you to reach and heal allies completely out of sight if you get used to the orb trajectory, and it also means you're able to rebound them in a small space to get multiple healing passes. Right, so when should you use each mode? Well, 90% of the time, you're going to be using Repair mode. This is what's going to keep your teams alive and win you games. Bombard mode is for self-defense or when your team is fully healthy or steamrolling the enemy team. It shouldn't really be used otherwise. There is also a small delay when switching between firing modes, which can be a blink and your teammate dies kind of moment if you're stuck in that delay. You can fire both modes at the same time if you'd like to absolutely min-max your play, but you'll only fire a couple of shots in between orbs. And honestly, with how much damage is dished out in this game, you shouldn't find yourself using Bombard mode very often in an action-packed match. Moving on to his E ability, which is Battle Rebirth Beacon, or B.R.B for short. This is a beacon that once deployed will generate armor packs and rocket boots. It provides them once every 3 seconds, and the jet boots are always the 4th drop in a rotation. The armor pack gives players 25 armor, which is just a small boost to their survivability, but nothing huge, and the rocket boot provides an absolutely massive vertical boost, which can be amazing for getting any hero into funky positions, or getting yourself further into the air without having to use your dash. The key thing with this beacon though, is that it will revive a single ally as long as the beacon was deployed before their demise and they were within a 50-meter radius of the beacon. Revival mechanics are always some of the strongest in any game, as it completely negates not only the respawn time, but also the travel time back to the objective and team. Once an ally has been revived, the beacon will disappear and go on cooldown for 45 seconds, though you can recall it at any time, putting it on a variable cooldown based on how much health it has left. At full HP, it will only be a 5-second cooldown, allowing you to reposition it if needed. It's incredibly important to always remember to place this down in a hidden or safe area near the objective. You have no idea how many times I've forgotten to do this until one of my allies died, so please drill it into your mind to remember to place this down even if you don't make use of the armor or rocket boot drops. Just don't place it somewhere obvious where it will get destroyed instantly. Next up, we'll cover all of our mobility abilities, Jetpack Dash, Flying Ace, and Wall Crawl, as it's important to discuss these within the context of each other, as you'll be blending their use constantly. Jetpack Dash is our core mobility ability, allowing us to dash 10 meters in the direction of our cursor, holding 2 charges with a 6-second cooldown for each. These are all absolutely integral to not only keeping yourself alive, but obviously repositioning. You should be using either Jetpack Dash, Wall Crawl, or both to get yourself into advantageous high ground positions around the map that keep yourself safe away from the heat of battle, whilst allowing you to heal your team. Using both dash and flying ace together will also allow you to be more unpredictable in battle when needed by keeping you moving around the air, though try not to do this so much when the enemy team has a Widow or Hawkeye. It's also important to note when out of dashes, wall running increases your movement speed significantly, making it a great means of escape if you're unable to take down your foe with your weapon. You can also move very erratically, quite easily, like the rodent you are, making it hard for your enemy to effectively target you. You're also able to use this to wall run out of sight in sneaky positions just like this, completely saving you. These three are the hardest abilities to master, but the most important, as you are a priority target for the enemy duelists and vanguards to take out, so you need to be nimble to keep yourself alive. Finally, we come to Rocket's ultimate, Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, or C.Y.A for short. This deploys a beacon that has 800 HP and boosts all allies' damage within a 20-meter radius by a whopping 40%, which is huge. Allies have to be within line of sight of the beacon to get this boost though, meaning to get the very most out of it in big fights, you need to be tactical with where you place it to ensure as many squad mates get the boost as possible without it being in direct line of sight of the enemy. Though sometimes it's good for you to deploy it in the middle of a fight, because its huge health pool means any enemy that's attacking the beacon isn't attacking you and should be getting melted for that. You should be using this when you're facing a full stacked enemy push the objective ideally, or in or close to overtime as well. You just want to make sure the team is getting the biggest advantage against as many enemy players as possible, because if you're grouped you shouldn't really need it to pick off one or two of them. The beacon lasting for 12 seconds only encourages this type of play, as it can be used for the majority of a big fight. Now we've broken down his kit, how should this look like in a match? Well, first things first, if you're on the attack and have to wait for the spawn doors to open, always drop down your B.R.B so the entire team can start with armor and jet boots out the gate. Just don't forget to recall it once everyone has picked one up. After we're out, as I mentioned earlier, your positioning as the main healer is key. You're able to heal at great distances very quickly, so you don't need to be inside the battle and should be as far away from the battle as reasonable, just pumping heals into the mix. We're doing this to stay as safe as possible, as if you die, everything can fall apart very quickly. Dealing damage yourself will always be secondary to keeping your team alive, unless needed in a self-defense situation. Don't forget to drop your B.R.B nearby behind a wall or in a little separate room as soon as you get near the objective, and always remember to reuse it once it's back off cooldown. And because we've remained in a reasonably safe position whilst healing our team, once we need to reuse B.R.B, we should be relatively close to a good area to place it down. As the fight inevitably gets closer to you, there is only so far backwards you can go, so you're going to have to utilise Rocket's amazing mobility to get you out of situations when you're being flanked. Make sure to ping the enemy that's attacking you so your team can assist you, but get boosting around and hovering to stay unpredictable and alive. Then, all else you need to do is drop your ultimate in big team fights or important moments such as overtime, and you'll be golden. There's a reason Rocket has that 1-star difficulty rating, because all you need to do is focus on healing from safe positions and dropping your B.R.B down when needed. Staying alive will be the challenge that you face, but once you get his mobility mechanics down, it'll become easier and easier to do so. Now, of course you have 2 team-up opportunities. I thought I'd cover them last, as you won't always have them active, especially if you're not queuing with friends or a squad. The first of the 2 is called Old Friends, where either yourself or Jeff can ride on Groot's shoulders and receive a 65% damage reduction, I think. Whilst the damage reduction is very good and riding on top of Groot is a lot of fun, your positioning will be at the mercy of somebody else, and you're likely going to be too far into the fight to be fully safe. Unless you're steamrolling or with a friend you trust, I would avoid doing this most of the time. The second team-up ability, and one of the most insane in the game, is called Ammo Invention, where you throw an ammo overload device in the target direction. Upon entering the device's 10-meter radius, Punisher and the Winter Soldier receive an infinite ammunition buff and much faster firing. This lasts for 12 seconds and has a 45-second cooldown, meaning this team-up ability is just literally as strong as an ultimate ability, so if you have one or both of these heroes on your squad, it will give you an absolutely ludicrous damage boost in teamfights. To top it all off, both of these team-up abilities get you a 5% passive healing boost, which is only a little, but every little helps. just before we sign off, there are some Rocket specific keybind settings which you may want to tweak depending on personal preference. The main one being how you wall crawl. Most people will feel most control using the setting where your movement follows the cursor, as this will have way more control over the fixed WASD movement, unless you're on controller of course, so do give it a try and see if you prefer it. And that just about clears everything you need to know to master Rocket Raccoon. Please drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and let me know if there are any other heroes you'd like me to cover just like this. But for now, I'll see you in the next video.